Hey guys, Stan Sullivan, Simply Easy DIY. Today, and for the next 5 days straight, I get to play with this man toy. A 4-ton excavator. This will be my first time operating an excavator, but not my first time operating heavy machinery. I've been in the cab of a skid steer years ago, and when I say years ago, I mean like 20 years ago, give or take. I wanted to show the drop-off process in case anybody was curious how this went. And sorry I didn't get a little closer with the camera. I purposely kept it back and out of the way. I didn't want to shove a camera in the guy's face the moment he arrived. People tend to not like that. Plus, I consider it rude. I walked out to tell him where he could park it. And then I thought I'd give him a little bit of space because, hey, nobody likes somebody hanging over their shoulder. So just to give you an idea of the timeline of everything, I had put in a rental request on this company's website on a Monday morning. But before I did that, I had just gotten off of the phone with another company ordering a load of hardpan and 2 loads of 57 stone. There's a story in there. I'll cover those in a future video. That company told me that they would deliver my material on Friday. So I put in a request on the rental company's website for an excavator to be delivered on Thursday. So about an hour later, I get a phone call from the rental company confirming all of the details of my rental, and I probably spent about 20 minutes on the phone with a very lovely lady that couldn't be nicer or more helpful. I had put in a request for a 2-ton excavator with a thumb, but she told me that I had to go up to a 3-ton in order to get that. I wasn't incredibly excited about that because of the softness of my yard. And I knew the heavier equipment was going to tear up my sod quicker, but I really wanted that thumb, so I reluctantly went with the bigger size. On Tuesday afternoon, I got a call from the rental company's delivery guy, and he had asked if I wanted to take delivery a day earlier on Wednesday instead of Thursday. I said sure, as long as it didn't cost me anything extra. I was very adamant about the extra. He promptly showed up at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, as you can see, and the dude was extremely friendly. I asked him to give me a quick rundown of all the controls, which he did. He also told me a few things to look out for and was very adamant that the machine needed to be cleaned prior to pickup because they weren't shy about charging a $200 cleaning fee. Oh, that reminds me. The cost to rent this for 2 days was $1,047. I know that sounds a bit pricey to me too. It was somewhere in the ballpark of $319 a day for the base rental charge. And then there was a $99 delivery fee. And then another $99 pickup fee for a total of $198 on the delivery charges. I got the fuel coverage for around $60 and damage insurance waiver for around $100. Add tax to that and it came up to $1,047 for 2 days. That's hot. Now that seat got so hot in the sun, you could smell flesh burning when you sat down on that thing. No joke. Okay, maybe a little bit of a joke. But it was hot. The heat index on the days that I had this was over 100 on all 5 days. So you probably could have cooked lunch on this thing if you really wanted to. Alright, so I just take a moment and try to get a hold of these controls. The more you throttled up the engine, the more responsive the controls were. I didn't necessarily like it turned all the way up. I found about 3/4 to be that sweet spot, for me at least. Now, I was getting the machine a day earlier for no charge, and the guy told me he doesn't pick up on the weekends, so he'd see me on Monday. So that's another 2 days on the back end free of charge, which gave me the machine in total for 5 days. So just doing the math on that, 5 days for $1,047 is around $210 a day. That's a bit more palatable. Now obviously these machines are cheaper the smaller size that you get, so I had originally wanted a 2-ton excavator, and I remember that was right around $200 a day for the base rental charge instead of the $319 that it was for this. Now, I said that this is a 4-ton excavator. The lady on the phone told me I needed to go up to a 3-ton, so how did I get from a 3-ton to a 4-ton if I'm really concerned about the weight? Well, when the guy called on Tuesday to see if I would take delivery a day earlier, he also said, oh, by the way, would you take a slightly heavier machine? So I originally wanted a 2-ton, and now all of a sudden I got one twice as big at 4-ton. Alright, whatever. You know, just bring the machine. And I figured my sod was going to be toast no matter what, so why not? And obviously, at first, I was a little choppy on the controls, simply because you have to stop and think, okay, which action on the sticks controls the curl of the bucket? I mean, you know the controls, you know which one does that, but it takes a little while for it to start to flow from the head to your hands in one smooth action. By day 4 and 5 though, I was getting pretty smooth on those controls. Obviously not a seasoned operator, but it was starting to flow. Here on day 1, however, I thought I'd start with something that didn't take a lot of finesse on the controls. So after Steve was cut down, the contractor helped me do a burn pile of everything that I had cut down on the property up to that point. Well, after that, I had again gone through and cut some more stuff, and I was accumulating another large pile of just random brush and limbs around the property. Now, I could have cut all that up to a size that I could handle by hand, and it probably would have taken me a week and a half to do all that and move it back and maybe burn it if I chose to do that. I actually chose not to burn this. I just decided to throw it on the other side of the fence, which is still my property, and let Mother Nature reclaim what's rightfully hers. If you watched my We Saved $5,000 Clearing Our Property video that I did a couple of weeks ago, I showed a before and after of this side of our property, and we had 3 trees sitting over here. 2 Bradford pears, one of which is behind me here. The other one, which is right where I'm at now, was a dogwood tree, and that one I cut out myself, which saved me several $100s from having somebody do it for me. Now I was able to remove and cut it down to a size that was manageable and then burn most of it in the first burn pile, but there are a couple of pieces here that were just way too big for me to move by hand, so I figured now is a good time to get rid of the rest of that tree. Here is where 2 trees used to be. I cut these out, I think, on day 1 after moving in, because I about backed into them a couple of times with my truck. One I know was a maple tree, and it stood probably 15 to 20 feet tall. The other, I'm not sure what it was, but you can see both of them are doing their best impressions of bushes right about now. So I knew I wanted to preserve as much of my sod as possible, and I didn't want to just start digging around the stump with a scorched earth policy, if you will. So what I tried to do was roll the bucket out and set the teeth on the sod to either side of the stump. Then, without adjusting the boom, I would curl the bucket in until it either broke through some roots or it got stopped by the roots. Then, instead of raising the boom, I would just roll the bucket back out, essentially keeping that sod in place, or at least trying to anyway. If I broke through a root, I'd go to the other side of the stump and do the same thing again. If I didn't and the bucket just stopped, then I would move it about another foot out from the stump on the same side, and then try that same maneuver again, curling the bucket under until it finally snapped some roots. I think it worked pretty well. I think I removed 7 or 8 stumps that were around the property. This one here was a crepe myrtle, a very unkept crepe myrtle, and I wasn't quite sure if I was going to be able to get this one out with it being so close to the front porch, because there was a couple of times that I saw that roof line move on me and I darn near gave up on it. But I just went slow and I was extremely cautious, and eventually it came. Okay, so I've got some stuff I need to do over the next few days while I've got this machine. I want to dig a trench for a French drain to help with some lack of drainage on this property. It's really what they should have done a long time ago, and no one ever did it. But I guess that's why it was a neglected and abandoned property. The driveway needs to get done, and I've got a lot of that to do. Plus, I want to do some site prep and install the pad for my new workshop I'm going to be building here pretty soon. Can't wait. I'm excited, and I'm excited to share it with you. So, if this is your first time here, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of it. Tag the thumbs up button, and don't forget to visit me at simplyeasydiy.com for more simple and easy projects. Until then,